I'm Mike, and this is Jess, and welcome to Goodwin 207.
As you can tell, today we're in our goat barn, and we're going to be talking to you about farm security, specifically security cameras, some of the different cameras that we've used here on the farm. Make sure you stay till the end because we're going to give you a full review of 3 different types of cameras that we've used and the pros and cons to each one.
Yeah, stick around.
So as you can tell, we're back inside now. Michael's nudging his arm towards me because that's where the microphone is, so inconspicuously.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk to you today a little bit about our security here on the farm, specifically our security cameras, which types that we've used, what we like about them, what we don't like about them, and also why we have them.
Yeah, we do have 3 different types. We've kind of tried out a few different brands over the past few years. We started out with a couple of cameras just for, I guess you would say, house security, just for inside the house, and, a couple exterior cameras. And then as the farm has progressed, we've added some other exterior cameras to the group just so we can take advantage of the features that these other camera brands have.
Yeah, so the first brand that we used was the Zomoto brand. We used that predominantly inside, but we did have some of their outside cameras. We, in fact, still have some of their outside cameras that we are utilizing. Some of the functionality that I like about those ones is that you can actually, they sell one that just screws right into like an outdoor outlet, light fixture, and it has a rotating feature so you can rotate it around. And so I really liked that feature as well. It was pretty easy to, well, for me it was easy to set up because I didn't do what Mike did.
Yeah, I mean, installation is a snap. You just screw it into the light fixture, and then you have to use the app on your phone to get it connected to your Wi-Fi and, to set up all the different settings. It has a light on it, so you're not without a light for that fixture. Some of the neat things you can do with that is you can set a schedule for the light, and you can change the color of the light, which we often do for different holidays. And the Zomoto brand, was pretty good for a while, but setting up the cameras on the app can be very frustrating. It doesn't work very smoothly. I consider myself to be fairly technologically
Advanced.
Oh, okay. And I still struggled with it for about 20 minutes per camera, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to do a whole house setup, it's kind of a pain. But they do work. The indoor cameras that we have from Zomoto have night vision, and you can talk through them, and they have motion alerts, and they'll record, maybe 5 or 10 second clips anytime that they sense motion. And you can view those for, I don't know, maybe about 5 days going back from the current day. And you can pay for cloud storage where they'll save all of your clips. And, there's all different pricing models for that brand. We've never done that because it hasn't really been something we've needed. They're small. They plug into a regular outlet. They've worked well, but they do have some shortcomings.
Some of the things, like as far as the cloud storage goes, that can get pretty pricey. But as Mike said, the motion clips and stuff, it does save for 7 days. So if you have a habit like I do of going in and looking at all your motion clips and you happen to see something that you want to save because either it's questionable, you're not really sure, if you might need to use this later for security reasons, or if it's just a really adorable clip of your kids and your animals, you can save that to your phone or to a file on your own cloud storage, like a Google Drive or something, which is what we've just kind of gotten in the habit of doing. That is one thing I will say about all the brands we're going to talk about today. They are very, very, very good at being catching any and all motion that's going on, sometimes too much. But, that's okay with us because that's what we want, and we have them set to a very, very sensitive setting. So that is something that you can go in and change in the settings if it's driving you nuts.
The exterior cameras from Zomoto don't record sound, and you can't speak through them, at least the ones that we have. They are a couple years old at this point, so I'm not sure what the current offering is, but they are inexpensive. A good entry-level camera to get into if you're thinking about getting some cameras. But there are lots of other options out there on the market that are just as affordable. So it's important to look at the features that are important to you in comparison to how much everything costs.
And I think that's important too, as we start talking about this. Things that are important to me for a security camera might be a little bit different than what's important to you and what's even important to Mike. For me, I want clarity, quality. I really like the feature of being able to talk through the cameras. And I want something that's easy for Michael to set up, because if it's not easy, then it's going to take a while for it to get set up. And I like my cameras working and not in a box.
Yeah. Well, life gets busy on the farm.
It does.
Lots of little projects to do. But the Zomoto brand was a good starting point for us. When it was time to think about adding more cameras or, wanting some more features and functions, we did look at a different brand that we've been very happy with.
So some of the things that we didn't necessarily like about the Zomoto brand, and I should say that we are not sponsored by anybody. Nope. This is just our own personal experience that we've had with each of these brands. There's none that I would say don't give it a try. It's just an honest review of the experiences that we have had. Some of the features I didn't like about the Zomoto cameras is the clarity of the actual video wasn't as advanced as some of the other ones. Now, maybe some of their newer cameras are better. I don't know. Some of the other issues that we've had is it seemed around the 2 to 3 year mark, the cameras would kind of stop working or wouldn't work as efficiently or would work sometimes and not all the time. So things like that, when you're investing that kind of money into a security system, you definitely want it to last, and you want something that isn't going to randomly stop working one night and you didn't get notified of it and you missed all this footage. So that's some of the things we didn't necessarily like about it. I also didn't like the fact that the outside cameras, although they had night vision, it wasn't color night vision. You couldn't, like I said, you couldn't talk through it. You didn't see very far from the camera. So if it was like a bug flying by the camera, we could make out every single detail of it. But if it was something walking across the driveway, we're kind of guessing, is that a cat? Is it a fox? Is it a raccoon? For me, the clarity really was the big thing. I wanted something that we could really see better. And, as we'd mentioned, we'd had some issues with trespassing on our property over the summer. And we really wanted to make sure that we were getting a clear picture on what was on our property at any given time.
Yeah. Yeah, the camera that we have on our front porch, the infrared that allows you to see at night doesn't throw very far. So you're really limited to maybe a 5 to 10 foot radius around that light, and that's it. When it came time to think about other cameras, their ability to capture what we're looking for at night was a big one. So I spent a bunch of time looking at different camera systems and reviews. We've been very happy with the Wyze camera system, WYZE. They've had a little bit of controversy recently, the security level, but I think those incidents are few and far between, and we've not experienced any problems like that. And the cameras themselves are super easy to set up within a minute or two. If you've never done it, it might take a few more minutes, but once you've set up one or two, it's a breeze. I was able to hook up a new camera out in the barn for the girl goats within 5 minutes the other day. That includes mounting it and everything. So the color night vision is great. It records tons of motion clips. The one downside to the Wyze camera systems is unless you pay to subscribe to their monthly service, I forget what it's called, there's a 5-minute cooldown period between motion clips. So you'll get a motion clip, but not what follows for 5 minutes. I think that's just a way to help people subscribe to their service, but it's very affordable. Mm-hmm. It's $8 a month for an unlimited number of cameras, and you get every motion clip that the camera senses. And that's a pretty good deal. $8 a month or $9 a month. Yeah, it's very affordable, and we're happy with them so far.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really liked about the Wise camera is, one, the clarity's a lot better. You have color night vision, which you can turn on and off depending on if you want power saver mode. But when it senses motion, it'll automatically turn the light on, so you get a color clip of what's happening. You can talk through the cameras, which is a huge benefit, but it also has a alarm that you can turn on the cameras. So if you see something or you know of something and you want to try and scare it off, whether it's an animal, an intruder, or whatever, you can hit that alarm button. That actually proved very vital for us over the summer. We had an incident where a neighbor's dog got out, and they love to run across our property. As you know, we have livestock guardian dogs. But as you also know, we also feel it's our job to protect our dogs as much as possible too, although they're out there to protect the sheep and alert us when something's wrong. And they have no problem dispatching threats. They've all have earned their stripes that way. We also never like to leave our dogs not backed up by us for larger predators like a dog or something. So knowing this, Michael, it was one of the few times he wasn't home, and I was on my way home from work, and I got a message from my mom who lives next door. There's a large dog. It's running into your backyard. We had our poultry out, so I was able to actually hit the alerts on the cameras, which alerted our dogs, but also scared off the neighbor's dog because it's pretty high pitched, and avoided that incident from happening, which I was really, really grateful for because, as you know, we love our animals, plus we invest a lot of time and money into them. And I would hate for something like that to happen, or have our dogs, we try to keep a really good relationship with our neighbors too. And I'm sure our dogs dispatching their dog would not be very good. So it just helped us avoid that scenario. So those are some of the things I really like about the cameras. Plus, they're affordable, so we were able to upgrade and get a lot more cameras everywhere on our property and our barns, around our outbuildings. Plus, the range of them is a lot better. We can see our entire front lawn. We can see right down to the road. We can make out the cars that are driving past our house. And it actually has this really cool feature when it sees motion, whether it's a vehicle or whatever. It actually will tell you if it's a pet or a vehicle or a person, and it frames it like in green to show you here's where the motion was and here's what it was that was moving. And you can set all those alerts on your phone if you want to, which I like that feature. I think a lot of good things to say about that brand, and it's probably my favorite brand that we've tried so far.
On the more nerd side of things, there's a lot of customization that you can do to each camera. Like you can set a zone on what it can see as to this is the part of the frame that you want to capture motion on. Like one of our cameras faces a bunch of trees, and with the wind, they're always moving. So I reduced the motion zone to just the portion of the frame where we would want to know if there was anything happening. So that way we're not getting a bunch of motion clips that we don't need to care about just because a branch moved.
But it also shows you how sensitive the movement is on these cameras. Is, a branch moves and it picks up on that and alerts you, which I really like.
Yeah. All of the cameras that we have from Wise have a spotlight on them too, and you can set those to come on when motion is triggered or when motion and sound is triggered. Just a lot of really specific customization you can do for each camera. You can even turn off the little light on the front of it that indicates that it's on. So that way it pretty much just, if it's dark out, you're not even going to know that a camera is there. Because that little red light or blue light isn't going to be on. It allows the user to really make the camera fit what their purpose is. And each camera can record to an SD card. So you can do 24/7 recording. So you have 100% coverage of time. And that's free. You don't have to pay for that. But if you want, like I said, the motion clips without that 5-minute buffer between them, you do have to pay. And if you only have one camera, I think it's $2 a month but we have several, and you know, the unlimited plan that we have is cheap, and it covers everything, including any other cameras that we'll add down the road, because I think we plan to.
And, you know, as you've probably seen so far on this video with the magic of technology and Michael, our IT guy, we're inserting clips of the different cameras that we've used and what the actual raw footage looks like for you, so that you kind of have a visual of that. I do want to state that those are not all the cameras we have. Those are not all the views that we have. Some of the cameras we specifically have hidden because of, like I said, instances that we've had on the farm, and just to make sure that, you know, people don't necessarily know where all the cameras are. But we do have our property well posted, no trespassing. We also have signs up that says posted and under video surveillance. So we do warn everybody, you know, if you're coming on our property, you're going to get caught. Don't do it. You know, and about our dogs too, because that is, I understand sometimes people can maybe get lost or turn around when they're out hunting. But the last thing we want to do is have a stranger end up in our pasture with our dogs, because that's not going to end very well for them. And, you know, just trying to keep everybody safe. And so that's kind of just a little disclaimer in there, I guess. Some of the things I don't necessarily like about the Wyze cameras, or just some feedback I have about them, is
I guess the one criticism I have is, depending on how far away from your Wi-Fi router you are, it's not the greatest at picking up that Wi-Fi signal through multiple walls. Like, we have our Wi-Fi router in our house, and we have one of our Wyze cameras in the barn, which is probably about 150 feet away, but it's, you know, several walls, of course, between them. And on a clear day, it works fine. On an overcast day, it struggles quite a bit. So if that's the situation you're in, and you want them outside, think about, you know, a Wi-Fi range extender, or just relying on that SD card and having to review the footage manually, because it won't, if the signal's not there, you're not gonna see it on the app.
You just took everything I was going to say, but that's okay.
Well, this is like one video where I actually get to talk a lot.
I know, this is going to be a long video, and we're talking nerdy stuff with Michael.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's probably one of the things I dislike about it, is it does rely on Wi-Fi signal, as does the Zomoto cameras. So that's, if you're looking for something that you want to put down on your property somewhere, it without getting a super expensive Wi-Fi extender, then that's really not going to work for it. And that was one of the things that kind of led us into getting a third brand of a camera, is the fact that we wanted to have cameras on our property, and we have over 30 acres, and we wanted to be able to see, there's certain trails and stuff that people will come on, or coyotes will travel, and we wanted to be able to keep an eye on what's going on the back 30. Neither the Zomoto or the Wyze cameras really had the capability to do that without doing extensive upgrades to like a Wi-Fi extender that's really expensive.
Right. Well, we wouldn't be able to view the footage remotely was the main thing. Like, we didn't want to have to go and pull the memory card to see what was happening. We wanted to get an alert that something was happening and be able to see it as it was happening from the house.
Right, and have it stored, so if something were to happen to the camera, or it would be damaged in some way due to whatever was on the property, we wanted to have a way to still have the footage of all of that. You know, the memory card is great as long as the memory card doesn't disappear or get damaged somehow.
Right.
So that's why we opted for the third brand.
And the brand name is Zumimal, Zumimal. It is a 5G, 4G camera. So it works on a cell phone network. It comes with a SIM card, and you do have to pay for the coverage.
Yeah, some of the downsides to the cellular camera that I really found was the cost. It was very expensive in comparison to our other cameras. The peace of mind definitely makes it worth it. However, there is going to be some cost to it, because you're paying for the camera. It does come with a very, very short trial that says it's 30 days trial. The 30 days lasted us about 7 weeks because it's based on a data point, not an actual 30 days. It's what it feels you're going to use in data in 30 days. The data will record and upload I think it's 10-second clips of any motion. Of course, we have animals and stuff down there. There's a lot of motion, so it's recording a lot more than something that there wouldn't be a lot of motion. So then we did pay for additional data for the remainder of the summer. I forget the exact cost for that, but it's all outlined anyway when you buy these, how much data you get and how much it's going to cost. So the cost was definitely, I think it's a little more cost prohibited for some things. It does have a memory card that you can put in it where it will record everything else to it for, again, that manual upload if you want. However, for us, like we said, we really wanted that electronic record in the event something happened to the camera or the memory card and we couldn't pull it off of there.
Yeah. This 5G camera that we're talking about now was about $100 for the camera itself, and the data plan was about $35. In comparison to the Zomoto or the Wise brand cameras, the interior cameras from Zomoto were about $30 each. The Wise cameras were about $20 each. Some of them were a little bit more expensive, but on average, the cost per camera, if you're thinking of getting multiple 5G cameras to cover different remote areas of your property, this brand in particular, you pay per camera for the camera itself and for the data usage. So it would get costly. So it all depends on how much of a priority that is for you. If you want to pay for the data or just have it as a remote camera that you can go and pull the footage once a week, that would be something that you could do as well. It has a lot of neat features. It has the spotlight like some of the other cameras did. You can hear sound and you can talk through it. It has a pan and tilt feature. I think it was almost 360 degrees, but it would also, tilt up and down. So if you were watching something happen, you could adjust the position of the camera to get a better view. The night vision was good. And the quality overall was pretty good, but I think it was also limited by the reception in the area that we had it posted, which wasn't the greatest. All of the communication between the app and the device, you're using that data. So if your reception is low, then there's going to be a delay between what you do on your app to what the camera responds to. So sometimes it'd be 5 seconds or so before the camera would actually move, or the camera would deliver the sound that we were talking to the dogs or the goats, and we could see that there was that delay. So I think in a better coverage area it would have been different, possibly, but they're not as responsive as the Wi-Fi ones.
Yeah, that's definitely it worked for what we needed it to. When we had because we had the back pasture open this summer, because we're expanding back on the back side of our property, that the security thing is definitely something that we're looking into. I think long term we probably will invest in one of those large wireless router Wi-Fi signal extender, all that technology stuff that's really expensive, but we'll get the Wi-Fi all around our property. But in the short term, we will probably continue to utilize game cameras, some of these cellular cameras on the back property. We may end up moving them around a little bit as our livestock moves around and as we have issues in certain parts of the property. But I think in the short term, it's a good solution until we do that large investment into the range extenders or whatever those things are that.
Yeah, and that's definitely an option if you don't want to spend the money into the 5G. If there's a lot of options, and that can be sometimes polarizing. You don't know which one to pick. You just really have to look at, what are the top 3 main features you want in the system and try to find something that, suits that need in the most cost effective way.
And that's part of why we wanted to do this video, is just to kind of give you an overview of some of the things that we've used and how well those worked, and some of the features that we really liked and some of the ones that we didn't necessarily like, just to kind of give you a little bit of a head start if this is a path that you're going down, so you know, maybe you don't care, maybe you live in a great cellular coverage area and the cellular cameras would be a perfect choice for you, or maybe you live way up north somewhere and there's absolutely no cell phone coverage at all, because there's certain parts of our state that there's just no cellular coverage, so that's not going to be a viable option for you. So at that point that camera's just, that functionality is not going to be there. And just to really try and be helpful, because as Michael said, I know we've spent an enormous amount of time researching this, mostly Michael, because that's kind of his genre of things.
It's my wheelhouse.
But so there was just trying to really kind of focus on some of the features that, to try and help you make a decision on how you want to approach this.
Yeah. And, for the systems we have at this point in time, at the end of 2023, the Wise camera system, I think, is the one that I would recommend the most. Mm-hmm. The cameras that we have are great, but they have a lot of other cameras that work on solar, that'll still work on your Wi-Fi network, so you don't have to plug them in. They have robotic, like remote control cars with cameras on them that you can patrol around your house, which is ridiculous, but
I think it's cool.
Also kind of cool.
Till the dog eats it.
So I would recommend that you check those out, but there's a lot of other camera systems out there that offer, a wide range of products in similar cost, and, just do your research and due diligence and make sure you find one that works for you. And a lot of camera systems are having sales this time of year, for the
holidays.
Technology nerd in your life. And we got ours shortly after the first of the new year last year. They were having a killer sale, and we stocked up. We have a box of extra cameras that we just kind of keep around.
They're not extra. They're just not installed yet.
Tomato, potato. But we do have some extras that we like to keep available, because sometimes we have an animal over here and we can put a camera there and we can watch him, and if we move that animal, then we can move the camera. And it's, as long as there's a place to plug it in, then generally speaking it's close enough where it'll get the Wi-Fi signal and it'll work, and it's good peace of mind.
We do have a range extender in our barn to help those cameras get some better signal out there as well, and beyond the barn a little bit. But hopefully you found this helpful, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe. We would love to hear from you, especially if you've used different security systems that you like or don't like. If you could comment that below and just let us know what your experience has been, so we can share that with everybody that is watching this. I really look forward to getting better feedback, because we're always in the market for better upgraded technology, especially when it comes to security of our family and our animals.
Yeah. If you have any questions about any of the three systems that we talked about, please leave a comment, and I'll do my best. We'll do our best to respond and answer those questions. But a lot of the best information you can find is on the individual company websites, because they'll have all the different specs for any of the cameras that they currently offer.
Yeah. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.